Who's the black private dick that's a sex machine to all the chicks? You're damn right. Who is the man that would risk his neck for his brother, man? Can you dig it?
Good evening, America. Welcome to the Radical Republicans Live Show. Of course, I am your host, Jarome Bell, Navy Chief, 27 years of honorable, distinct, decorated naval service. And I'm here to tell you what the controlled media won't tell you. Right? That's what we're doing. So, tonight, we were supposed to have Ann Craftatus on tonight, and she may still come, but she had a family emergency, so she hit me up. We had 2 hours ready to go, and she had a family emergency, so our prayers are with her and her family. So she may still be on. It just depends. I think her little girl fell and may have broken her wrist or something like that. But hopefully the little girl is okay. Really hope so. But what that means is, once you all get in here, we still got the full show to break down what's really happening in the country right now. You know, so tonight, just like always, we're going to be covering the stories that matter to you. Unedited, unscripted, unfiltered, uncensored, and definitely always unapologetic to you. So I'm going to check the chat. I'm just going to, before I get into it tonight, I mean, we got the Epstein file disaster. Anybody think that they are still Bondi and, I don't know, the Democrats, Republicans, whoever they want to blame, you know, are still holding back, right? I mean, the biggest cover-up in modern American history. This has to be it. You know, I think this has to be it. You know, Pam Bondi's, you know, her catastrophic congressional hearing. Did you guys see that? She failed the victims, and I think she failed the American people too. It was an embarrassment. It was a complete embarrassment, man. You know, I mean, she went there with her little binder, you know, of, you know, gotchas and kickbacks and, you know, and to the people that want to, you know, really get something going, right? So I think I got a video. I'm going to show. Matter of fact, I'm going to make sure I have this video downloaded. I'm going to try. Let me make sure. I don't even know if I have it. Shit. I had so much stuff, but let's see if I got the video. I want you guys to see, because I mean, it was embarrassing. It was matter of fact, you know what? It was part of this Candace Owens video, but I'm gonna try to download it and get it to you guys, so you guys can watch it tonight. I'm gonna play it, but you know, like I said, I had Ann Craftatus scheduled. We are gonna talk about what's going on in Virginia. They got an election coming up in April, a special election to change the Virginia Constitution. So we were gonna have her on. Instead, we got to talk about Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and the controlled opposition being exposed. I guess we still have, you know, Iran war preparations. I'm wondering, you know, what's going on with that. You know, because Trump said, "Oh, we're going to try to make a deal, and they better make a deal, or they're going to be in trouble." And I think the delay is not about a deal, because they want regime change. You know, they talk about, well, you know, it's going to be about the nuclear and about their, you know, their long range missiles now, their ballistic missiles. You know, they have to get rid of them. Who in their right mind, literally, after what happened to Gaddafi, after what happened to Maduro, what happened to Saddam Hussein, what happened to, you know, Assad, right? What fool, if you're Iran and you have these weapons, right? I don't care if you have nuclear weapons, you have ballistic missiles or whatever, right? But if you have these, hopefully this goes. If you have these weapons, right? Would you get rid of them? I mean, literally, would you get rid of them if the United States and Israel, Israel have missiles, Israel attack whoever they want to attack. Israel has a alleged, but everyone knows, an alleged nuclear program. Would you get rid of your weapons if you're Iran? No, I'll probably tell Trump to go get fucked too. Take your chances. Hey, man, we're gonna take our chances, bro. It is what it is. We're gonna take our chances, and we're gonna see who else comes to our aid, and we're gonna see if we can get you guys bogged down into another 20-year war or something. That would be my thought process on it. And also, are we heading into another endless war? So another thing that Trump ran on and promised us he wouldn't do, right? So this may, and my shows, because I've always been, and I haven't changed, right? If I'm behind you, I'm behind you. If you fuck me, then I'm not behind you anymore. I'm not, and I think I've been fucked by this administration because we have no arrests. Epstein files are being redacted. We don't have everything. You know, we're going into endless wars again. I mean, so I feel like I've been sort of screwed, right? And in this thing where we're going to send $2,000, if you file your taxes, because what they hear, they understand. They understand that people are talking about a tax revolt in 2026. Because they don't spend our money wisely anyway. Joseph Olson, what's up, Joe? Man, you know what? Maybe I should emergency bring Joe on. Hey, Susan, I see you. Bring Joe on. Joe have to go to like a secluded area, man, when he comes on, man. He has to go to his car because the reception where he lives in, I might have to bring Joe on. Joe, if you want to come on, man, throw it up in the chat. Let me know, and I give you the link, Joe, and I bring you on, and I mean you can just chop it up, man. I mean I could talk about Bongino, and I can talk about Bondi a lot, but I need to download this video, and you guys know I uh produce my own show, so I have to do everything myself, right? Have to download my videos, have to, you know, just do all this stuff myself. So I'm gonna download this, and if you didn't hear it, I'm literally gonna let you guys hear both of them, and let me get this one downloaded too. And I mean, because I was embarrassed. I have to be honest. Okay, I have to be honest. Watching her performance, whether you're, I mean, if you're a Trump supporter, this, and I still am, because I don't want the pilot to crash the plane, right? I don't want the pilot to crash the plane. But going back to that $2,000, because I know I jump around because I'm doing other stuff, but they want you to file your taxes, so it's going to be, it's always a tax, credit, right? So they're going to give you your money that they stole back. Not, they can write checks, they can cut checks, they cut checks to these other countries. They cut checks, when they want to cut checks. Why can't you just cut a $2,000 check to everybody? Why do you have to give a tax credit, which is not really shit, right? It's not really shit. Why do you have to give a tax credit? We're going to give you a tax credit of $2,000 when you file your taxes. I mean, fuck that. Just cut me a $2,000 check, homie. Just cut me a $2,000 check. That's what I want to see, right? So I had some people ask me if I was doing a live show tonight. They're like, yeah, I'm going to do a live show. I'm live now, so you better come on and get your asses in the chat. Now my friends on the East Coast be like, well, you know what? Come on in. And I know for a fact that I've lost some viewership, right? Because because did I send that one? I think I sent that one. I've been critical of President Trump. I've been very critical of President Trump, and I mean, here's why: because I like to give me 20 minutes, lock and load. Okay, Joe Bet, and it's it's because if you tell me something, right? If you tell me something, I mean, don't lie to me. I'd rather you not say that you're going to release the entire Epstein files if you're not, right? I'd rather you do that. I'd rather you just tell me, well, I'm not going to release the Epstein files. I'm not going to, and we're going to go to war, and we're going to go to war with everyone we can. And, we're going to continue to have these wars, and we're going to continue to kiss Israel's ass, and we're going to continue to bankroll Israel while Benjamin Netanyahu says that we're the greatest ally and President Trump is the greatest ally, and Israel is number 2 in AI. That video, man. I might have to have that. I mean, but I think the biggest story is still the Epstein files. I'm like dropping videos, man. I'm in here doing all of this, but I think the biggest story right now. That one come in, yeah. So let me download this one. It's still the Epstein files, still, because everybody's waking up to it, right? Everybody's waking up to it. They claim that they, released 3 million pages of Epstein investigation documents, right? The 3 million sounds very impressive, right? Nah, wrong. It's bullshit. It's bullshit because here's what they're not telling you. If you've been living under a rock, if you've been living under a rock, here's what they're not telling you. First, the redactions are protecting the very powerful people, and they know who they are, right? You guys have to understand that Cash, Bondi, and fake ass Bongino, they were at the FBI and the DOJ when they started the redactions, right? When they got all the material, right? Remember Bondi, it's on my desk and 250 and all of these videos and blah, 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 right? So they are the ones that redacted it, right? So they know. They know who they redacted. They know the names. They know the names of all the people. They know the names, like Ghislaine Maxwell said there were 29. There were 29 individuals that received special consideration and they're not being prosecuted. 29 sealed names. Right? This is what she said. Right? Sealed. Not in jail and not anything. The victims, names and faces, unredacted. You guys saw they did that to them people, right? And they were the ones saying, well, we're not doing anything because we don't want the victims to have to suffer. And then they unredacted them, man. At least 43 victims had their full names exposed. And many were minors when they were abused. Some victims' names appeared over 100 times in the documents. Home addresses visible in keyword searches. Nude photos of the young women published with their faces visible. Can you, what? What? But the powerful men are redacted, protected, hidden. It absolutely makes no sense. Absolutely. Hey, pure blood, I see you. Who is this? Who is this? This is New Chance to Live Ministries in Africa. Hey, welcome, brothers and sisters. Don't know if my right place, but I've got to share with you. Hey, this is always the right place. You can come on in. And somebody from Africa. All right. But this is the Radical Republicans live show. So don't come on here with that stuff, man. Talking about killing yourself and stuff. Anyway, okay. It's probably a troll. Somebody in the chat help them if they want to, but I can't do it. This is complete opposite of what Christ would want. Exactly. Exactly, pure blood. You don't want to kill yourself. And I don't even know how to block them, so I'm just going to let them stay in the chat. But Christ definitely would not want you to kill yourself. So we're going to move on. We're going to pray for you. We're not calling you. I see your number. We're not going to do all that here. So sorry. Don't want to seem like I don't care, but we're not going to do that here on the Radical Republicans Live show. Goodness. I'm still waiting for this one video to upload. And Joe, Joe said he was going to come in the chat. So we're going to check him out. Man, you guys are missing the, if you guys are, if you guys are in the Rumble chat, you're missing it over on Ghetto right now. We have someone, but so Joe, I'm going to get back with you. I'm going to get you that chat in a minute, but I'm going to try to email it to you, Joe. But I have to wait for this one video to finish downloading. Okay. All right, but second, so they literally failed to do basic searches, right? Okay, attorneys for the victims gave the DOJ a list of 350 victim names on December the 4th, right? To ensure redaction. The DOJ, Bondi is she's not capable, right? But I'm gonna play a video, and then she tries to be all tough, but she's incapable. The victims' attorneys, they gave them 350 names to be redacted. The DOJ didn't even run a fucking keyword search to verify their redaction process. Was this one? I think it was I think it was intentional. I honestly think it was intentional. That's not incompetence. That is not incompetence. That's intentional. So third, who's in the files, right? Who's in the files? The files show connections. And you have to understand, a lot of these people, man, see, a lot of people get upset with me, right? A lot of people get upset with me when I mention Trump, right? Because you have to understand, a lot of these people are still around. A lot of these people in the files, and I don't know if they're handlers. I don't know if they threaten Trump. I don't know. But you have connections to Howard Lutnick, the current Commerce Secretary, right? He corresponded with Epstein after promising to never be in the same room with that guy. I'll never be. I went one time with my wife and my kids, and I had some family members with me, and I didn't know what was going on. But you know what? After that, you still got with dude though. So Howard, I think you knew. I think you knew. Howard Lutnick, we're gonna wipe the smile off your face because he's always smiling and laughing. We're gonna wipe the smile off your face, Howard Lutnick, because you know you're in the files. You know because you got with him after promising. Of course, Ehud Barak. Ehud Barak, he was the prime minister of Israel. You know, former Israeli prime minister. He stayed at Epstein's apartment. How much more do you need? And he's not even arrested. How much more do you need? He's probably back in Israel chilling because you can't touch people in Israel, just like the guy in Vegas that was trying to meet the young girl, pedophile, child trafficking, and they let him out and he flew back to Israel, so he's chilling. Unlike my man, though, Ehud Barak, you stayed at Epstein's apartment, man. You stayed at his apartment. Larry Summers, the former Treasury Secretary, gossiping with Epstein about Trump and Russia, right? Elon was talking about, hey, man, can I come to the island? I love your island. I want to come to your island. Hey, how about this date? And then we got my man, and then Steve Bannon. This one, I think this one probably, even though he kicked me out of the crib, right? I had to tell the story. Even though he kicked me out of the crib, man, I think the one that hurts me the most is Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon. I don't know why this is taking so long to upload. Maybe I might just cancel this one and is this the other one? I think this is the other one. I got too much stuff going on my computer, I guess. But because I'm using the old one. Use the new one. Let me see. Did that go on here? But see, if I had a producer, anybody want to produce my show, man? It's actually not a bad show. Okay. Yeah, I still have to download this one. All right, so I'm gonna try this again. This is the bar. Okay. To try this, the Pam Bondi one, man. It's like 4 minutes long, so it may take a minute. It literally may take a minute to upload because I got different stuff running on the computer. Shucks. This was the new one. I think that one downloaded too, but we'll see. All right, so we're running slow, but anyway, all right. So I just continue. Who's on Gather tonight? Just still pure blood. This the complete opposite. K9 girl, hey, I see ya, K9 girl. So I commented a couple of times on Rumble. It looks like I'm logged in, but maybe not. Yeah, let me go back. I mean, you know what? I'll go back and look at it in a second because this I can't get the Bondi video to download right now. Let me look in the chat. Joe, Carolyn, what's up, Carolyn? I see ya. No, you're not logged in, K9 girl. Log in and then click on the right show. But you're on Getter. So if you were in, Carolyn says, if you were on Epstein's list, would you release them? If you were in Epstein's list, would you release them? Probably not. Or neither would Pam. You know what? I'm hearing she might be on the list, right? You know, there's this fake list or something going out. They got all these names on them and saw Pam Bondi in there or whatever and whatnot. So I'm going to email this link. Hold on to Joe. So Joe, if you're still listening, I'm going to email you the link. So Joseph Olsen can come on. Uh-oh. Joe, I got like a couple of different emails for you, bro. Joe Olsen at Yahoo, Gmail, whatever. All right, so you'll get two, Joe. How about that? All right, man. So we can just come on and chit chat. So just sent you the invite, Joe. Anybody else want to come on the show? Anybody else want to come on? I mean, we can. You guys know how I roll, right? We can just chat it up. Anybody wants to come on the show, let me know, and I'll get you the link. You can just come on. All right, so I have no idea how to log in on Rumble. That platform give me issues. K9, you have to put in your name and your password. All right. So anyway, but like I said, nice. So getting back to the Epstein list, yep, at a young age, not college. All right, so who's in the files? Let's get back to that. Larry Summers, Elon Musk, Steve Bannon, I told you that. And President Trump's name appears throughout, for whatever reasons, right? Okay, the DOJ, they released a statement saying no criminal or inappropriate conduct by Trump. I get that. There was a lot of people mentioning his name, right? Okay, but if that's true, okay, here it is. And I've been saying this, right? I actually put this up on the thing, right? Because we know on Facebook post, right? We know there's Democrats on there, and we know that there's Republicans on there. We know this. We know that there's world leaders on there. We know that there's probably Supreme Court justices on there. There's a lot of high-profile people, right? But here it is, right? And I know, and I've said it on the show before, Trump is protecting probably not only family members, but friends and probably donors as well. So my thing is, though, okay, if they issue the statement, hey, man, you got to bite, you have to bite the bullet, my man. You ran on the shit. Maybe you didn't really know who was on the list until you saw it. Okay, but okay, if no criminal or inappropriate conduct by Trump, there's an email, a very, very some incriminating emails that I read that, I don't know, man, right? But here it is. If that's true, right? If that's true, why not release the unredacted emails? Okay, Trump, if he's nothing inappropriate, just release them all. Release all 6 million except, okay, the porn of the kids, right? Now, if there's You know if there's men raping kids on video and you know who they are. You've probably seen their faces. You don't have to release those, right? Or you can take out the victim or the face or whatever, right? We don't want to see child porn, but you know what? You know who they are. So arrest them and charge them. Don't say, oh, well, we don't, their thing is, well, we don't want to show the child porn. Well, you know what? If they're getting raped by men on this list, then just go arrest the men. Publicly arrest them and charge them with child rape for being on the Epstein videos. And yes, we saw it. Yes, you're guilty. Yes, you're going to go to jail. Yes, you're going to be arrested. You're going to be tried, right? And then let the jury have to sit through it. You don't have to release the child porn, right? Because we know there's child porn on there because these men and probably women are on here raping kids. We know that, Pam Bondi. But here's the smoking gun. Here's the smoking gun in today's news, right? Or yesterday's. So literally just hours ago, actually, it may have been today. Literally today, matter of fact, Pam Bondi announced all Epstein files have been released. She claims over 300 high profile names have been released. Right? She said it today. Right before, actually, literally before I went on the show, I believe. I've been prepping. She claims that over 300 high profile names have been released. But here's the catch. There's always a catch. Always a catch with Pam Bondi. And I hope this video downloads, man, because I really want you guys to see this video. I really want you guys to see it. And they're probably playing games with me, so I can't play the video, right? Can't. So they're playing games with me, so I can't download the video. It was downloading, but then it like totally stopped. So I'm going to continue to try that. So if I'm not checking you out in the chat right now, okay, it's because I'm literally trying to download this video of Pam Bondi. Literally, I'm trying to download it. And I'm trying to download another one too. Hold up. Literally trying to download this other one. Maybe this would be faster. I don't know. Literally, it's huge. So can't download it yet. So we're gonna just let this one try to download. But so we just keep it moving a little bit on this. We just hang out, Pure Blood and K9. All right. So here's the catch, right? Went back. Here's the catch. Many of those names are still redacted in the public version. Congress can see them in a secure terminal at the DOJ, but we can't. Congress can see them, and they can't even. So here's my thing too with Congress, right? I'm trying to figure this out, right? So Congress can see them. I know the one congressman, Trenchard, whatever his name is, Pritchard, whatever. He came out and said, "Man, you see this, and it's just unbelievable." Okay, but they can't even say the names. They can see them, but they can't tell them because they'll get sued. They'll get put in jail because the names are still redacted. So why let Congress see them and they can't tell the names, right? Why look at them and you can't tell the names? This is like the biggest bunch of bullshit, right? They can go into this SCIF area, secure terminal at the DOJ. They can see the names, but they can't say who they are. They are coming out. Oh, yeah, it's names. It's names, and it's terrible. But we can't tell you who they are. We can't tell you who they are. So much bullshit. Maybe you know what? Maybe I try to go to Facebook and play this video. Right? We can't tell you who it is. 5%. But uh but they're there, right? But they're there, and it's terrible. So what this means is this isn't transparency, man. This isn't transparency. This is like, do you know overseas they're actually arresting people overseas? I think in Norway and in Europe, and so in other countries, the people that have appeared on the Epstein list, they're actually being arrested. We're the biggest laughing fucking stock in the world right now because others are being arrested around the world, right? Others are being made to leave positions. Howard Lutnick hasn't even been made to leave positions. Look at all these people that's on the list or in Trump's cabinet, and they're still there. And they're still there. Does this piss you off? Does this make you angry that others around the world, they're having to leave their positions and whatever positions they have, CEOs, part of the parliaments, part of governments, they have to leave. And yet these motherfuckers are still in their positions here in the United States, in our government, right? So this is just a limited hangout, right? It's just a limited hangout. Classic intelligence operation. That's all this is. That's all this is. They release some information to make it look like that they're being transparent while hiding the real evidence. While hiding the real evidence. Okay, so who's being protected, right? Who's being protected? I keep going back to see if Joe's in here. If Joe's ready to come on, but not yet. But who's being protected though? Right? I mean, you draft indictment from 2000s would have changed Epstein and three others, right? Those three names redacted. A draft indictment from the 2000s, early 2000s, would have charged Epstein and three others. Those names redacted. Why weren't they charged? Why weren't they charged? Because Epstein got his sweetheart deal in 2008 to where none of his conspiracy people, none of his accessories to the crime can be brought to trial, and they had to be sealed. Those names had to be sealed. That's the deal that he got, the sweetheart deal where he spent 13 months in prison, but none of his people, none of the people around him could be arrested. That's the deal. That's the deal he got. And it was negotiated by Alex Acosta, which was supposed to be, listen to this, right? You can't make this shit up. So it sort of gets me fired up. I think about it. People say, well, you just don't like Trump anymore, man. You just hate Trump. You're not a Republican anymore. You're a Democrat. What the fuck ever, yo. I'm a conservative, America only, true America only, true America first person, not a liar. So this sweetheart deal was negotiated by Alex Acosta, who later, for some reason, Trump liked to keep these people around him. And you can't make it up. But who later became Trump's labor secretary in his first term, right? Acosta said he was told Epstein belonged to intelligence. So it's coming out, right? Oh, no. He wasn't part of the CIA. He wasn't part of the Mossad. He didn't work for Israel. No. But as we're saying, Acosta was saying he belonged to intelligence. He couldn't touch him. So he had to give him a sweetheart deal. He couldn't touch him. So think about that. Belong to intelligence. What? What does that mean? Belong to intelligence. So this guy's working for the CIA. That's intelligence. He's working for the Mossad. That's intelligence. And if you're working for the Mossad, you're working for Israel, you're working for the CIA, you're working for the American government. You guys starting to see, you guys understanding the picture here that I'm painting? If Epstein belonged to intelligence and he was doing all of this shit, this guy's like a traitor. Is he like a traitor? Is he like, I mean, what would you call this, right? And he has, and he co-opted and has the blackmail evidence on all of these people because he's actually a dual agent working for Mossad, working for Israel. And this is why Israel is controlling the United States. Do you guys not understand that? All of the people that are mad at me that don't watch the show anymore, that may not be my friend on Facebook, and like, you know me, I don't give a shit, right? Do you guys understand what this means? And like people say, our government is occupied by Israel. You see, Israel is controlling Trump. I don't give a shit what you think or what you may say, but Israel is controlling Trump. Out Marion Alderson, $250 million. She says she'll bribe him some more if she has to keep him in office for a third term, which is totally against our Constitution. But they'll pay for it to get it done, right? And all of these people. I mean, this is a big victim, and not even this is a betrayal to the total United States, not just the victims. I mean, you had Virginia Gopher who committed suicide, who they tried to kill her. I believe they tried to kill her because she had this big, massive wreck. You know how they can turn your shit off, right? She was one of Epstein's most vocal accusers, died by suicide in 2025, right? Her family is outraged. Her family is like, man, what did she die for? Her brother, named Sky Roberts, says that the DOJ's handling is re-traumatizing. They're re-traumatizing the families, re-traumatizing all of the victims. And here it is. And the victims can't even name the names because they'll be sued because they're redacted. But wasn't there a law that was passed that was anchored and sponsored by Thomas Massey and Roku Kana, whatever his name is, right? And it was forced signed by Trump, forced signed by the Democrats in the House, forced signed by the Senate, because it was like, we have to do this or the people are just going to go fucking ballistic, right? So there is a transparency law out there, and these names are still being redacted, and the victims can't even the ones that were uncovered, were unredacted. They can't even say anything because they'll get sued and they'll get put in jail, right? And the victims have been fighting for this for 20 years for justice. And what did they get? What did they get? What did we get? What did we get for our vote, man? What did we get for our vote? I didn't vote for this. I voted for transparency. I voted for releasing. And you know what? Bondi says, oh, governments will come. Well, let this shit burn. Let it burn down. Let it collapse. All of it. Because we probably need to just rebuild it from scratch anyway. Not fucking with the Constitution, but actually obeying the Constitution, governing by the Constitution, you know? Maybe that. Maybe we can do that. No, but their names have been plastered across 3 million pages while the men who abused them hide behind black redaction boxes who were redacted by Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, Dan Bongino. They directed the redactions. They know who the people are. Is this why Bongino quit? Then he comes back, Bongino wants to come back with the tough guy act. Oh, you guys have been black pill. The black pillars are the worst. Blah, all this bullshit. Dude, you're a pussy. Dan Bongino is probably the biggest pussy. Actually. Say my iPhone 6 won't load app. It won't Rumble. Won't load the Rumble app. So we might not have Joe Olsen either. So you guys might just get me for the entire night. You guys might just get me for the entire night. I was trying to bring on some guests, but hey, it is what it is. I'm going, and this one, this video is taking so long to load. It's like really, really slow and just tripping a little bit. So I'm actually gonna try to go to my Facebook page and try to find the video. But and of course Facebook is loading slow now. I think they are shadow banning me. They're cutting my feed. It's been happening for 5 years now. It doesn't matter. I mean, but the bigger picture is that this wasn't just a sex trafficking ring. This was a blackmail operation. This was a blackmail operation. I mean, Epstein had cameras everywhere. They have videos. It's not just child porn. They have videos, and you know what? And that congressman from Tennessee, what's his name? The guy with the glasses. He seems pretty legit, but he says he's seen it, man. It's just awful. What, dude? You know what? I'm like, fuck it. We passed a law that say that these names, all this shit should be redacted. We passed the transparency law. Here are the fucking names, and here's what I saw. That be me. And let's go. That be me. Let's fucking go. It just is what it is, man, And he had connections to, he recorded everything, had connections to Israeli intelligence. I already said that. Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, Ehud Barak, American intelligence. He belonged to intelligence, Acosta said. Man, the world's most powerful politicians, scientists. No, they're releasing, and business leaders. And here's what's funny about that. As far as the big pharma and stuff, right? Here's what's happened. I don't know if you guys heard about this, right? But the day, when these redactions came out, these last redactions or whatever, when we left the WHO, right? All of these other countries, like, hey, man, by the way, all these, big pharma people, all of them get busted. Hey, by the way, we've had cancer, the cancer cure. All these other countries, they're coming out. Hey, we got a cancer cure. We got the cancer jab is 90% effective. So now they're coming out with all these, like they're releasing, see that they've had all these cures for years. We've known that. The conspiracy tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists, we've known that, right? We put it out there. But here, where are those recordings? You know where they are, Pam Bondi. You know where they are, Cash Patel. Where are those files? You know where they are. The DOJ claims, there was no client list, but of course we see that there is, right? Just lie after lie. But this is just a plain cover up, plain and simple, guys. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Okay, so here you go. What do you think? I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think is being hidden? Who is being hidden? While I look up this Pam Bondi fiasco video, I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to cancel that and get to the chat. I'm going to find it on Facebook, and I'll play you guys on Facebook, right? I will find it. Because I post so much shit. Because I just like people to be informed, right? I like people to be informed. So, I'm going through. You guys like Anonymous, man? Now, I'm going to play this Anonymous thing. I like Anonymous, man. And this one guy, it's just, so much shit. There's one guy, man, you guys need to follow this guy, Dimitri, the Dimitri Vogt, man. This guy is badass too. What is that? All right. So where's the Pam Bondi thing? I gotta find it. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. And then Trump, he says, well, all the Democrats, they've been friends with Jeffrey Epstein. All of the Democrats were friends with Jeffrey Epstein. I guess he forgot he used to be a Democrat when he said that shit, right? Oh, preview not available. What happened? Okay. So, I mean, I figured, whatever that is. He said, I guess he forgot. He used to be a Democrat. Totally. All the Democrats were friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Gee, is it this far back? Absolutely, really. You people that follow me on Facebook, I post a lot of shit. A lot. Okay, here we go. It was bad when okay, all right, so here we are. So I'm gonna play this, a couple of videos. All right. So let me cue this one up first. This is about 4 minutes long. And hold on one second. Okay, so I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna I'm gonna share my screen on this one. I'm gonna let you guys peep it out. And I mean, this is embarrassing to me. Some people say, the ones that, are just diehard Trump, diehard. Pam Bondi kicked ass. She told him like it was. And no, this was fucking embarrassing, man. It's fucking embarrassing. This was on Candace Owens. I had to play it from Candace Owens. I downloaded it and I have it, but it just won't download to Rumble right now. So I'm sharing all this shit. I'm sharing my screen with you. Hold on. I'll give you this presentation. All right, so I'm going to widen this out and I'm going to let this play because I don't want you guys to see comments from anybody. I'm just going to widen this out and I'm going to let it play and then I'll come back. Okay, actually, here we go.
Take it away, Jared Moskowitz.
It's been 12 months since you gave Republican influencers part one of the Epstein files. You said the list was on your desk. Then a memo came out and said that there was no list. Phase two of the binders never happened. The President of the United States says the Epstein thing is a hoax. He blasts his own base for wanting the release of the files. He blamed Barack Obama. Republicans voted against the release of the files in the Rules Committee. Then they refused to even return to the Rules Committee until they could be protected from future votes on the release. Speaker Johnson sends Congress home a day early before break. They sent the Deputy Attorney General to meet with Maxwell. She says something favorable about the president. Miraculously, she gets transferred to a minimum security facility. No one can explain why. Miraculously, the leaks to the Wall Street Journal stopped. We come back from break. We have the Massey discharge petition. Republicans drop a rule, a non-binding resolution trying to kill the Massey discharge petition. The White House says passing the Massey discharge petition is a hostile act. Trying to stop the necessary 218 signatures, according to Republican members that signed it, the White House brought them into the Situation Room, the place where the president goes for time of war, promising things like appropriations or maybe even to primary them. People in the room say you were there. It didn't work. We get the 218 signatures. We eventually passed the Massey petition. You guys didn't release the files. You were forced by Congress, every member of the House except one, and the entire Senate. The reason the president signed it is because it was a veto-proof majority. We can't agree on anything, and yet the entire House but one member and the whole Senate forced the administration to release the files. Kash Patel under oath said to Senator Kennedy, the FBI is not in possession of any credible evidence that Epstein trafficked girls to anyone but himself. We know now that's not true. According to documents, Epstein had a worldwide sex trafficking ring. Girls from Poland, Czechoslovakia, Russia, Paris, modeling agencies sending him girls. He even had a relationship with a summer camp where he groomed girls at a picnic table. Ghislaine Maxwell says 29 Epstein associates cut secret DOJ deals. Turns out there is a list. 6 names readily available if you unredact them. Co-conspirators named, but we got them when you unredact them. Maxwell recently tells a House Oversight Committee that she wants clemency to release more names. Kash Patel under oath said Trump's name appears less than 100 times in the files. We now know that's not true. Trump's name appears more times in the Epstein files than God's name appears in the book about God. Okay, by the way, this is the Trump Bible. Move over, King James. Trump's name also appears more times in the Epstein file than Harry Potter's name appears in the 7 books about Harry Potter. Lutnick says that in 2008, he went to Epstein's home, says he had a massage table in the living room, that Epstein said he got one every day, that it was the right type of massage. He and his wife decide to leave and say they'll never be in a room with him again. Howard then says, I'm sure the Epstein stuff is all on video. He was the greatest blackmailer of all time. Well, how would Howard know that? But now the files are public. And in 2012, we found out that he and his family are on Epstein Island after Epstein pled guilty to state charges. I'm from Florida. I take my family to Disney World, not to Epstein Island. There are documents in the files that dispute the president's claim that he kicked Epstein out of his club. Allegedly, the president said that he asked Epstein to leave. Supported now, that's disputed though, statements from the manager of the club. Now, Madam Attorney General, I have like 25 seconds left. So because I'm curious, and I'd like to see you flip to the Jared Moskowitz section of the binder. I'm interested to see what staff provided on the oppo on me. And because we're in the Olympics, I'm going to give it a grade. I just want to see how good it is. So give me your best one.
So first of all, nothing is funny about mocking the Bible and holding up a Trump Bible. That's what you did. You made a joke, and I find offensive to that. That's all I have to say.
I want it from the burn book.
Shame.
I want it from the burn book, which is the best one. What you got?
So I'm going to go to the next one. Let's see if I can get out of here. I'm going to go to this next one. Because this is where she actually starts talking. So here we go. I'm going to go to this one. I'll let you guys listen to this one first, then we'll talk about it. We will chat about it.
Talking about Epstein today, this has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million, and Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history. And none of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
It's simply amazing. It's as amazing as Mikey McCoy, right? She's just out there like, what? Let them have cake. Like, what is wrong with you guys? Okay.
Yes, I'm going to cut Candace on that. But I mean, that's embarrassing, right? The Dow. What is these people like money more than saving kids? I see the chat here on Rumble. I'm actually going to go back through it. I think Tina was in here. I'm not sure who Tina is, but welcome to the show. I was going to ask you where you're from, Tina, but I think you may have left the show prior to. And Joe, I can't. I know you said call you. I probably can put you on audio, but I don't know if you'll be able to be heard on audio. To be honest, Joe. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. You guys want to see if we can hear Joe? If we can listen to. Let's see. I'm gonna call Joe. Let's see if we can do this. Joe, I can't call that number here. Let me see. 351 something. I think I got your number, man. Let me see if I can call. Let me see if I can find. I'm gonna see if I can put Joe on the line, right? See if you guys can hear him, right? All right, so let's try this. No, I don't think it's gonna work. Hey, Joe, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get you on though. Oh yeah, I don't. Yeah, you can hear me, but people can't hear you at the moment. Hold on, I'm gonna try to put you on a Bluetooth somehow. Because you're not on the mic. Hold on one second, man. Hold on. I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna hook up this other mic. Okay, then I'm gonna I have to move some stuff around. So hold on, I'm gonna turn down these mics real quick. Okay. All right, Joe. Try to say something.
Hey, got some info on Howard Lutnick.
Howard Lutnick. Hey, can you guys hear Joe? Hold on. Hold on. Give me a thumbs up. Hold on. I'm gonna go in the chat, Joe, real quick. Can you guys hear Joe? Just tell me if you can hear that. Say Howard Lutnick. All right, go ahead and
Yeah, if you go to Wiki, Howard Lutnick was hired by Cantor Fitzgerald in 1988, I believe is when it was. Let me find my notes real quick here because I don't want to misstate anything. And then he forced his way into the CEO operation as the founder of Mr. Cantor himself started having medical issues. Now, he started in 1983. By 1990, he was forced his way in as president. This is exactly what it says in Wiki. And then on 9/11, they had the 101st through the 105th floors of the North Tower, and the planes hit right underneath there. They were supposed to be selling Operation Hammer bonds, which were issued to George Bush and the CIA in 1991, and they were 10-year bonds, and they were due on September 11th, and they were supposed to be sold that day by Cantor Fitzgerald. Well, those bonds were for $330 million, which was the seed money that they went over and recruited Russian oligarchs and said, okay, here's $1 million. Now you can qualify for a 20 or 30, or okay, we'll give you $5 million. You can qualify for $100 million loan from the International Bank to buy a Russian asset. And so Russia was like a fire sale. They were in there asset stripping Russia exactly the same way Arm & Hammer and J.P. Morgan did after the Bolshevik Revolution. They went in and assets of Russia then. So they pulled the same thing. And they had the audacity to call it Operation Hammer. Well, guess what? After the building was incinerated and they killed 658 employees at Cantor Fitzgerald, they suspended all bond trading for 5 days, and nobody heard a word about that because all the evidence got burned up, just like all the evidence for the .com, the Soros for Food thing, the Enron, all of those records were in WT7, and they all got burned up. So we can't have any criminal trials because there's no backup copies on any of this stuff. If you believe that, that's exactly what's going on. Well, then when Silverstein had his double indemnity insurance for the buildings that he'd only paid $20 million down for 99 years,
right,
and he'd made like 2 monthly payments, he had him insured double indemnity in case of a terrorist attack. Well, guess what? We had a terrorist attack, so he sued the insurance companies for like $5 billion, and Lutnick said, well, hey, I'm Jewish and you're Jewish, and I was damaged, so okay, all right, we'll cut you in on the deal. So he got $20 million, and then he turned around and said, I actually had heard audio of him saying, well, since I was the most damaged partner at Cantor Fitzgerald, I just kept the $20 million for me. And it's like, oh, okay. And then I heard him in a later interview saying, well, you know, the people that we managed to retain at Cantor Fitzgerald were really wonderful people. I said, now we need to do something for these victims. If you could pledge 15% of your annual income, we'll be able to give some money to these widows and orphans. And his employees all did. They all gave 15% of their income. He didn't give any.
Why he's sitting on 20 million? Why he's sitting on 20 million?
15% of that. Yeah. Oh,
these guys are snakes, man. You know, here's the thing too. You know, and going back to, you know what, I think you know, I've promised people that we were gonna have a 9/11 show, right? I've been promising this shit for a couple of years, right? That we're gonna have a 9/11 show. I think you and I are gonna have a 9/11 show, man, because I know you have a plethora of information from 9/11. I have a plethora of information. But here's the thing, because you mentioned Howard Lutnick, right? And
yes.
you know, and a lot of the people, a lot of the higher up Jews, let's say the higher up Jews, you know, and I say Zionist Jews or whatever, because I understand that there were possibly some Jews that did die on 9/11, even though people say no Jews died on 9/11, you know, but I think there probably some were. There were some sacrificial lambs in there. But these higher ups like Howard Lutnick, this son of a bitch, right, had never took his child to school ever, never took his son. Just happened on the morning of 9/11, he's taking his child to school and he's late. So he's not in the building. Right? And so it's shit like that, man, that make you say, like, you know what? Yeah, these people knew. They were warned, right? They were warned. And you talk about Building 7, who, of course, nothing hit Building 7. There was no fire big enough to even make believe like it was going to melt steel, but it collapsed anyway. Like you said, because all the shit was in there. Everything was in Building 7. Everything about the 2.3 trillion at the Pentagon that um, Rumsfeld the day before the set was lost. Well, we can't find 2.3 trillion. It's more than that now, but we can't find 2.3 trillion. But all of that information, all of that was in Building 7. Everything about New York, I mean, the shit was that was in that building, the evidence that was in that building that got destroyed is unbelievable. Like I said, people don't really even talk about that. You know, you brought up the thing about about Lutnick, and a lot of that shit people don't know because it was never broadcast in news, you know.
Yeah, well, Lutnick claims that his brother Gary was in the building, but the unfortunate thing is there was 3,000 victims in those buildings that day, and they haven't been able to find even a tooth. They found no DNA evidence for more than half of those people that were there. And what they did find was the DNA and teeth that were on top of buildings that were adjoining there. So, little bone fragments here and there, and that's all they were able to find. The rest of it, he didn't do that with jet fuel. And his brother Gary was probably over in Israel, and he's probably had a little bit of plastic surgery, and they get together every once in a while and say how wonderful things are. Now, he was also a fundraiser for Hillary Clinton in 2016, and then apparently he decided the winds were shit, and he was fundraiser for Trump in 2020, and then because he was a fundraiser again in 2024, he got this cush job. So getting back to Alex Acosta, when I first pulled him up on Wiki, he was born Renee Alexander, and at age 12, he decided that he didn't want to be a girl anymore, and so he transitioned, and his parents were Cubans, Jewish Cubans, and they were just like, oh, we're so proud of our son, our daughter, our son, our whatever it is. And so he probably has a latent distaste for adolescent females anyway, and so he made this
All right, see, so we got breaking news. Joe Olson is breaking news on the Radical Republicans live show. Dude, I haven't heard of. So Costa was born a girl?
That's what Wiki used to say. I didn't screen save it because, you could go back on the Wayback Machine and find it. But yeah, his parents were real proud of it. And so then he makes his plea deal. They had like 20 different victims that were involved in that case. He didn't bother to notify any of them as the victims.
Right. He didn't notify none of them knew. None of them knew about the sweetheart deal that Jeffrey Epstein got. None of them.
No. And then Pam Bondi was the state attorney general in Florida.
Right.
From 2011 until 2019. So she was there for 8 years, and she could have picked up any of those cases. I'm certain that there were women that were going to different sheriff's offices and trying to get things done, and so she managed to ignore any victims at that point.
I mean, well, she was the attorney general when they raided the house, so her office got all of the information.
And then she injected herself in the Trayvon Martin case. It was like, we can't allow this kind of racism in Florida. It's like this evil white man was good. Whoa. My name is Zimmerman. I'm Hispanic, and I'm Jewish. And she went, oh, well, this isn't going to work. And then they found out that the whole Trayvon case was made up. The guy was having his head beat on the concrete by this kid that was on top of him. And that's the reason he shot it.
Well, did that change here? Here. I'm going to ask you a question real quick.
Yes,
right?
Sir.
So if that man wasn't a Hispanic Jew, as it found out, would he, if he was a regular white dude, right, would he be in prison right now?
There's a good chance that the jury would have been less sympathetic. But the key deal in that case was that his girlfriend said, here's the note that I wrote to him. And they said, well, can you read this note? She goes, I can't read cursive.
Right. Right. I remember that.
So their star witness got blown out. So the whole case was drummed up. Right. It was just at the time the race baiting president was going on and on. If I had a son, he'd be just like Trayvon.
Right.
If I had a son, he'd be just like Big General Brown in Ferguson. If I had a son, he'd be just like George Floyd. I mean, it's just that whole mindset. They're trying to divide us every freaking way possible, and that just happens to be one of the wedge issues that they're constantly bringing up. And you keep pecking a scab long enough, and you won't be able to heal it. And so that's where these people are coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I say the people that Trump has around him. I mean, if you go and you look at their background, like you say, you just mentioned Bondi's background, and you look at Lutnick's background, and you look at, I mean, all of these
Steve
people,
Bassett. Steve Bassett,
yeah, all of these people, and most of them appear in the Epstein files, So, so what do you think about? All right, so did Pam Bondi totally get annihilated and made a fool out of herself? I mean, because there was one part in the hearing where you have to, I guess, picture this scene because I don't have it, and I can't bring it up, and I don't know if the people find it, but 11 Epstein survivors are sitting in the room, right? You may have seen it, and the Democrat Jayapal, I can't stand her, right? I really hate the bitch, right? But the Democrat representative Jayapal asks them all to stand and raise their hands if they haven't been able to meet with the DOJ. And all 11 of them raised their hands. And Bondi's sitting right there, right? And then Jayapal, she asks Bondi to turn around and apologize to these women for the DOJ's failure to protect their identities in the file release. And what does Bondi do? She refuses. She keeps her back turned to them and says, I'm not going to get in the gutter for her theatrics. But here's the deal, right? They haven't even been interviewed by the DOJ. What the hell is that?
And then Jay Paul went ahead and got a list, and she read all 47 of the people that had been blanked out, their names, their net worth, the companies that they work with, their affiliations. And this included judges, and included ambassadors, a senator,
right?
A U.S. senator. I mean, just incredible. And there wasn't one of them that wasn't worth $1 billion.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah. I missed that, but you know what? I'm gonna see if I can find that real quick. Where she read those names, because I think those names are important to be heard. I'm not sure how many of the people watching in the audience have heard that or not, but I'm actually going to try to find that. So continue to enlighten us on some shit, Joe.
On some shit.
Yeah.
Well, here's some really good news. I don't know if you're familiar with Lieutenant Colonel Tony Aguilar. He's the one that went over and was an observer in Gaza and watched these kids being shot after they were picking up a sack of flour.
Yes,
and
right.
He was, and he had dozens of interviews, and even the mainstream media couldn't ignore him. He's a West Point graduate in 2004. He's a Green Beret for 25 years. He got an MBA from University of Texas, and he's running for the Green Party in the U.S. House district in the southern part of North Carolina, next to Fort Bragg. Because he's not running as a Republican, he won't have to beat a Republican that's already an incumbent. And he said the Republican is multi-wealthy, his family are billionaires, and that he's not going to be able to compete against him from a money standpoint, but he doesn't have to beat him in the primary. All he has to do is beat him in the general election, which is in November. And so he's a really good hope, because he'll be a good reinforcement for Massey, because here's a guy that's 100% compressed. And get this, his mother is Mexican, his dad is Irish, Scotch-Irish, and he was born into a military family. Both of his parents were in the service, and so he just grew up in the military. He joined when he was 17 years old, and so he's been in the military his whole life, and you can't say that he's not a patriot. He's decorated.
Right.
Pull up his wiki page. Incredible guy. So Massey will end up getting some reinforcements, and that's what we can hope for, is that there's be some other people. And I'm really not very keen on Green Party. I did vote for Jill Stein in 2024 because I just couldn't vote for Trump again.
Right.
I held my nose and voted for him in 2020. I Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay, I had high hopes for him when I voted for him in 2016, and then in April of 2017, his wonderful little daughter Ivana comes running in and goes, "Daddy, they're killing little babies with poison gas.
Right.
You need to do something." So he launched 29 Tomahawk missiles. Those things are over $1 million a piece.
Right.
Depending on who you read, they're either $1.5 million or $2 million a piece. He launched 59 of them. But that was great because it gave the Russians a chance to figure out how to exactly knock them down. They scrambled and knocked down about half of them, but they were targeting the Russian air bases that were in Syria because he was helping Assad. And so then in 2018, they pulled the same stunt. The white helmets come in, drop some chlorine gas, some chlorine bottles on the floor, and say, "Look, there's chlorine gas in here. They're trying to kill the civilians again." Why in the hell would Assad want to kill his own civilians? That's ridiculous.
Well, you knew that was. I mean, but they say it's the same thing about whichever boogeyman they want to bring up. I mean, it was the same thing with Saddam, same thing with Gaddafi, same thing with Assad, and it's the same thing. What now with the Ayatollah in Iran? They're killing their own people during
they killed 30,000 of them.
Yeah,
well, no, the published list is less than 3,000,
right.
And a third of those were police officers and firemen that were trying to, to help.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it's like, okay, is she reading the list? Let me see. Hold on, I have to check something out here. I have to see. I'm trying to find this, but no, I don't think so. JPL search. Trying to see. Hold on. I can't find that freaking thing right now, but I have to download it. No, man. I mean, so it's the same thing. So I know your some of your feelings about the war per se, right? So do you think? Can I ask you? Do you think we should go to war with Iran? And if so, why? And if so, why not?
Let's talk about that. Those Tomahawk missiles that we were just talking about, those were developed by General Dynamics in 1983. Production was shifted over to Raytheon in 1991. They have a speed of 550 miles per hour, which is Mach 0.7. And even though they've upgraded the guidance systems on them, they were easily hacked by the Russians. There hadn't been a successful Tomahawk attack in Ukraine since the whole stupid war started there. They are capable of carrying a W-80, which is a 5 to 200 kiloton nuclear bomb. So that's why the Russians don't want to have them in their next door neighborhood.
Right.
And and they carry 700 pounds of conventional explosive, and they've got a range of 400, 500 miles, and they cost between 1.4 and 2 million each. We know what the cost is now. They're like 2 million. So what have we got on the other side? Well, let's see. Iran has the Khyber, K-E-I-B-A-R, which is a 1,400 kilometer range, 2 to 3,000. What is that? Oh, kilogram. Yeah, that's 150 kilogram solid, and they're solid rockets. But then they've also got a liquid rocket. And both of these things are Mach 14. Their liquid rocket is a Khar-Rashmar, Khorram-Shar, and that one has a range of 2,000 kilometers. It's liquid fuel, which means it goes a lot further, and it only takes 12 minutes to fill it. Normally, the liquid fuels, 2 fuels, and you have to fill them separate, and it takes a long time, but you set up your launchers. But they're going to clean our clock. And then they've also got spy satellite photos from China that show the exact location of the 7 THAAD systems, which are the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense Missiles. Those things cost $27 million a piece for the missiles, and the total battery with the launchers and the controls and the generator that requires to work is over $1 billion. And there's a great website that's called Money Over History. They've got about a 20-minute video that shows exactly how this works, and the title of the video is "Game Over for THAAD Missile Systems." So, we don't have anything that's going to be able to protect us. Our aircraft carriers are nothing but floating piñatas in a hypersonic war environment, and that same thing applies to all of our surface ships. And the fighters that we've got, they have about a 900-mile range if they're not in war configuration. If you're using war speeds, so you're using higher speeds and you're using afterburners and stuff like that, and you're carrying extra pylon missiles and bomb loads, then the range is about 600 miles. But they can't have the aircraft carriers more than over 1,000 miles away. So that means you have to have refueling. And we don't have a refueling system that goes more than about 600 miles per hour. And the same thing with our B-2 bombers, our B-1 bombers and our B-52s. The B-2s are about 1,200 miles per hour, so like Mach 1.2. But they're not invisible anymore because the Chinese have furnished the radar systems that are low-frequency microwave that go over the horizon. They can see stuff 250 miles away. So there's no way we're going to sneak up and pull the same kind of trick we pulled on Iran back in June when they did their Friday the 13th sneak attack for the 12-day war, and they were getting clobbered. And I don't know if you're familiar with a guy named Ted Postol, P-O-S-T-O-L.
No,
He's an MIT physics professor, and he did an analysis on their missile systems, and he showed targets of Tel Aviv, and he said, if they're using 1,000 missiles, and here's the accuracy rate of them, Tel Aviv is completely obliterated. Mm-hmm. And now what's leaking out is that the Russians and the Chinese have been over there for the last 6 months improving the guidance systems and the coordination so that they don't overlap targets, and they'll be able to accurately hit everything. And one of the guys that I follow is a guy named Mahood, M-A-H-O-O-D, who's Arabic, and he's got a YouTube channel. And he said that Israel depends on 5 desalination units that are on the Mediterranean Ocean that provide 85% of their drinking water. And he said those are non-hardened targets, and there's no way to defend them. We don't have any missile defense systems that work at all against hypersonic missiles.
No.
And so he said you hit those 5 targets, and the place will be depopulated within 30 days because you don't have any water. That's not only the water that you drink, that's what you bathe with, that's what you irrigate your crops with, that's what you put out fires with. The whole place will be absolutely vacated.
Right. And, during, you mentioned the 12-day war. I've heard some comments, some different things about that. Well, of course, that we hit absolutely nothing because they had moved all of this stuff before we bombed. And so we pretty much missed. That's why they're coming back about the nuclear program. And now it's the ballistic missiles. They can't have ballistic missiles because they saw what Iran did to Israel during the 12-day war. So now, we don't even want them to have long-range ballistic missiles. And I actually opened up the show with them like, would you, as a leader of a country like Iran, seeing what happened to Syria, seeing what happened to Saddam, seeing what happened to Gaddafi, seeing what happened to Venezuela, would you give up any weapons to defend your country against Israel and or the United States? I mean, my answer to that would be fuck no, I wouldn't. There's no way in hell, especially if I know I have some shit that you may not know about, or I could cause some destruction if I wanted to. And I saw back then that and I think this is what really stopped the 12-day war, I believe, is that Israel started getting their ass kicked. They were out of the Golden Dome or the Iron Dome missiles that was protecting them. And Israel dropped some hypersonics. I mean, in Iran dropped some hypersonics, and they're like, you guys really want to continue this shit? If you guys really want to continue this, we can go, but so what do you think about that? Do you think that happened? I know they have hypersonics, and I'm sure Israel knows, but now there's supposed to be technology that Israel brought online, some kind of laser thing that's 100%. I don't think it is, man, because I honestly don't think that they're ready, and then we may not be ready to really go into war with Iran, like you say. But what do you think about that? Do you think that that's why that war stopped or the attack stopped?
Well, hypersonic is anything over Mach 5, and if you got something that's like going Mach 14, that's like really fast.
Right.
And at that speed, you develop a lot of, they have to go ballistic outside the atmosphere so they can get that speed and not have any problem with air friction. But once they re-enter the atmosphere, you start getting friction, and the surface of those missiles heats up enough that it absorbs or it reflects 100% of the radar. So they're completely invisible when they come there. You talk about stealth. You got a hypersonic missile. It's stealth when it's coming in. That's why in Ukraine, the Russians have only used 2 of their Orishniks, which are their super high velocity missiles, and they had 0 takedowns.
Yeah, Ukraine. Yeah, they tested them on Ukraine. They're like,
right. And I'm sure Iran has compatible technology at this point.
Well, I'm sure especially if the Russians and China has been, arming them like we do, I mean, it's so, it's preposterous, and, of course I love my country. And like Stephen Decatur said, our country, whether right or wrong, when in intercourse or in course with foreign countries, still America, right? Or some shit like that. But, and that's the way I feel about it, of course, because we serve this country. We always want our country to be right. But, we do some stupid shit.
And this goes back to the whole problem of our greenbacks being the world currency.
Right.
And us thinking that we're the world's police force and that, we're completely omnipotent and we never do anything wrong, and we're, whatever happens is what's best for humanity because we're so compassionate. Well, give me a break. All you have to do is just objectively look at what's going on. This is a direct attack against BRICS. And the 2 strongest member of BRICS are Russia and China, and they've both been told they're on the hit list. Yeah. We're going to overthrow both of your countries. We're going to come in and split Russia into 5 little balkanized colonies that we can then easily manipulate and run, and we'll asset strip you the same way we did in 1917 and the same way we did in 1991. And Russia's going, no, you're not going to play that game on us again. And so they know that their biggest partner at this point is Iran, and they've got 90 million people in Iran. And it's twice the size of France. It's a pretty substantial sized country. And so there's no way you're going to just do standoff attacks and get them to completely surrender. And the more you beat up on them, the more the population is going to say, look, it's either us or them, and I'd rather be us. And from the same standpoint, if somebody was pounding the crap out of us, we wouldn't sit there and take it. And so to have the war plan and gaining where we know we're going to lose, because we're going to lose against China, we're going to lose against Russia, and we're losing when we're fighting all 3 of them at once. It's like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, here's the thing too. I'm gonna switch gears real quick because you mentioned the BRICS, and some people may not even understand what's happening with the BRICS. They may have heard about it, but Brazil, being the largest country in South America, one of the largest countries in the BRICS, they actually are doing oil sales and trade deals in their own currency and in other currencies with these other countries right now. And that's one of the things that I believe that why, we went to Venezuela, we're trying to go to Cuba, because the United States sees what's going on. And one of the big things is that Trump ordered 12 billion in reserves of precious, of silver, really basically of silver currency, because China's getting it all, right? And you see the silver prices going up and down because, it's fake. The COMEX is fake. Probably there's no gold in Fort Knox and, just things like this, right? And this is one of the reasons why Trump is, I think, doing what he's doing, because they actually see that, wait, you know what? We fucked up. China has all the silver processing plants in the world. They have like 70, 80% of them. We're supposed to be starting one in Tennessee now. We're opening up one in Tennessee to start processing silver that we don't have, or whatever the case is. But, the BRICS, I think, is a big part of that, because over 196 countries, 168 countries, they said they were going to stop using the dollar. And that has been the one thing that has kept America on top, being the dollar being the reserve currency. And with now the yuan, I think in the next 3 to 6 months, China's going to announce that the yuan is backed by gold, and they're going to take over as the world currency. What do you think about that?
Oh yeah, and what are they doing with their money instead of investing in destruction of all of the adjoining countries? They built the Silk Road that connects to the eastern side of Iran, and they're actually shipping shipments directly from China into Tehran now. The whole rail link is completely connected. They're connecting Brazil with a port in Ecuador so they can just ship directly to and from Brazil across the Andes Mountains and then directly over to China. So, and they're going to be dealing nothing but the currency from Brazil, which I'm not sure what that is. And then also the Iranians are dealing exclusively in yuan. So and then Saudi Arabia's to the point where we're tired of being jerked around by these folks. One more thing on the Epstein deal. There was a sheriff down in Miami, in Palm Beach. His name was John Mark Dugan, and he was a Palm Beach sheriff's deputy from 2005 to 2008. He prepared all of the stuff required for the submission to Alex Acosta's court, and one of his deputies died mysteriously at age 50. And that was one of the ones that was working on that case. And two of the others got death threats. And so he said, I realize this is really dangerous shit. So he downloaded a terabyte of material, moved up to Canada, went to the Russian embassy, got Russian asylum, and moved over to Russia. So Putin has access to 100% of the trial evidence that was never submitted and never reviewed. And they've destroyed the grand jury testimony, so you don't know. But there was actually 29 victims that were, I said it was 20, but I didn't want to misquote the number. The actual number was 29.
Yeah, right. It's 29 hidden, right. And you know, Ghislaine Maxwell said that in I guess in her last meeting with, Blanchard or whatever his name is. But yeah, she said there's 29 people. They got sweetheart deals. They got special deals that's not being prosecuted. That's being hidden. Why aren't they in jail? Why am I the only one in jail? So she's getting a little pissed off too. But the other day, she just pled the fifth to all of that shit. She in her last hearing, she pleaded the fifth. I'm not answering any more questions, right? So yeah, I figured, Putin has to have it all. Putin has probably everything from 9/11 too. Putin is sitting on a bunch of shit, and he's just waiting for the right time. I guess for the Americans, for us to really fuck with him, because he's not really worried about Ukraine. He can destroy Ukraine anytime he wanted to, but he don't want to kill his own people. Those people are Russian. He don't want to kill, all the Russians because they're Russians. But they keep poking the bear, and he's going to be at a point to where, okay, either he's going to just take over all of Ukraine and dare Europe to do any fucking thing, because they won't. Dare the United States to do anything, because they won't, because he has all the information and he'll just drop that shit.
And then Ghislaine, which is the proper way of pronouncing it, said the other day that if Trump grants her clemency, she will go ahead and state that neither he nor Slick Willie had any involvement at all at Epstein's Island. Right. I mean, this is a woman that sat there and watched people being carved up, being turned into adrenochrome, watched children being raped and tortured and murdered, and then she's going to turn around and get clemency.
Would that not prove, if Trump gave her clemency or gave her pardon or whatever the fuck, anything besides take your ass back to the hardcore jail so they can take care of you, right? And not the sweetheart deal with your puppy, which is preposterous anyway. I mean, when that happened, everyone's spidey senses and antennas should have stood up like, whoa, what the fuck is Trump doing? This is the biggest child trafficker, child rapist, organ harvester, because they did organ harvesting, murderer of children, and Blanchard even said, oh, well, we're not going to release that. I can't believe the fucker said this. We're not going to release the videos that show the murders. We're not going to release that. Yeah. That motherfucker admitted that there's videos that show the murders, but we're not going to release that. Oh, and guess what? There's probably, you can see the people on that. So why aren't the people? I mean, People are just, the people that attack me for like, what the fuck is Trump doing? You motherfuckers are sick, man. You motherfuckers are sick. Do you guys really understand what is actually being done by the Trump administration, whether he did anything or not? Whether he did anything or not, do you understand the people that he's protecting and why he's protecting these people? And if this lady gets clemency, that should be all that anybody needs to know about what's going on, right?
Well, and I wouldn't attack somebody's wife, but here's a little bit of interesting thing. Thomas Massey married his high school sweetheart in 1993. They were married until 2024. She died mysteriously at her Kentucky home while he was in Washington serving the country.
Yep.
And he was a widower for a year, and then he married a woman named Carolyn Moffa, M-O-F-F-A, in 2025. And Trump goes, well, he was okay until he married this liberal woman, and she just absolutely poisoned his mind, and he needs to be voted out of office. We've got $20 million running to get him out of office right now. Well, guess what? Carolyn Moffa worked as a volunteer for Ron Paul's 3 different presidential runs. She worked for Rand Paul for 5 years, and she was a campaign manager with him. So I don't think that she's the flaming liberal that Trump is portraying her to be.
Right.
But here's something that's a real problem. There was a movie called Melania, 20 Days in the Life of, and this was paid for by Amazon. And there's a great video on this. It's at the Daily Chronicle, the $75 million Amazon scandal. Well, it turns out she was paid $28 million. The total bill for the movie was $45 million, and then $30 million budget for promotion. And guess what the promotion was? They rented one night at 5,000 different theaters, and that way they could say, and it was in 5,000 theaters worldwide. Yeah, but they didn't have a half dozen people show up in any theater, even if they gave away the tickets for free. So what did Amazon do that for? Oh, maybe because Bezos is under Federal Trade Commission for antitrust activities, and maybe he needed to have a friend in the White House. And guess what? $75 million is more than any 3 or 4 documentary films ever produced in the history of the world. So, if you don't know how to blackmail and bribe somebody, they'll give you a complete lesson on how to do that.
I mean, and I've read articles that they were actually paying people to come and sit in the theaters.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I wouldn't go watch that. I even said on the show, I think, when it came out, I got more important fucking things to do. Either I put it on Facebook. I got more important things to do than go and watch the Melania movie. What the fuck? Why? And why when there's, when there's rumors in those emails that Donald Trump got Melania allegedly from Epstein. I'm just saying. Right?
Yeah, from the Kit Kat Club. Here's another reason why he wants to keep those files suppressed. His first wife, Ivana, got divorced, and after she got divorced, she was BFS with Ghislaine Maxwell for 10 years. They rode around in limos together in New York City and in Miami Beach with printed business cards saying, we'll teach you how to do massage therapy, and we'll teach you how to do modeling, and just come by for an interview, and then next thing you know, you're giving a massage to some pervert on a table. And that's exactly what they did for 10 freaking years. And then she died mysteriously the day before she was supposed to be issuing her tell-all book.
Yeah.
Fell down the stairs.
Imagine that, right? So, all right. So I've been going hard on Bongino, right? I don't know if you can see my screen. Can you see on if I share my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Show me what you got.
Okay, I'm gonna because Bongino. I think he's gone nuts, right? All right, so this is his post on Facebook. I hope y'all can see that. Okay, yeah, so y'all can see that. All right, so this is his post on Facebook, right? I'm going to read it for those that may not be able to see, but it makes absolutely zero sense. I think he's losing it, bro. He said, I thank the Lord every day for friends and allies with discernment. Now that the truth, what truth is he talking about? Now that the truth has come out, because he's been a gatekeeper, he hasn't let a lot of truth come out, but he says, now that the truth has come out, they all see what's under the kimono of the Black Pill Brigade. You know, he's been attacking the Black pillars. And you say, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle. Truth stings, and a lot of people got played. The artificial inflation on socials made it all seem real, but now you know it was all it was all, I guess it was all job to distract you from the stench of their full diaper of bullshit. Thanks. Have a great weekend. What the fuck is Bongino talking about, man?
Well, he's trying to whitewash the black pillars, you know. So, like, we figured out what's going on. It's like, well, no. I'm gonna make sure you can't figure it out because I'm gonna keep blowing smoke up your butt. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Totally
Switching
ridiculous.
Over to the future subject of 9/11.
Uh-huh.
I'm a trained structural engineer. I've been registered in the state of Texas since 1983. I've worked in high-rise buildings in 20 different states, total hundreds of high-rise buildings, and I know exactly how they're built. I know exactly how they fall down. I never watched early morning TV, but that morning I wanted to know what the weather was like. And if you don't catch it on AM radio at the top and bottom of the hour, you don't get the weather report. This was back in 2001. And so I turned on Good Morning America just to read the Krylon on the bottom where the weather is, and it had smoke coming out of the North Tower. And I went, boy, that's really weird. And I called up a friend of mine, and we were talking on the phone, and then the plane hit the South Tower. So this is like 10 o'clock on our time, Central Time, on that Tuesday morning. And so I call another friend of mine. He's an engineer, and I'm talking to him, and the South Tower had been burning for an hour, and the top of the tower leaned 22 degrees from plumb. Well, I'm a trained structural engineer, but you don't have to be a structural engineer to know how gravity works. When you stretch steel, it's going to break from tension on one side as it's being pulled, and it's going to compress and buckle on the other side from the compression forces, and the top 20 floors are just going to flop over and slide down the face of the building. Right. Well, guess what? The thing was leaning 22 degrees, and then all of a sudden it pulled itself back up vertical and fell in 14 seconds. And I said, this is controlled demolition, but I don't know how it happened. Now, the problem with being an engineer is that you can't make public statements based on speculation. So I couldn't say anything, first of all, without knowing exactly what the alternative hypothesis would be. And I also couldn't make statements when I was still doing a lot of work with clients that would be embarrassed to have me getting public notice on it. So I spent 10 years studying exactly what happened that day. And I went to Austin in May of 2009 and saw the presentation by Richard Gage of Architects and Engineers for 911 Truth, a 4-hour-long video conference with a 2-hour-long DVD, and they had side-by-side comparisons of controlled demolitions. And I had previously been reading articles in Veterans Today on nuclear education. And after I read about 20 of those articles, I said, man, I'm ready to come out of the woods and start talking about this. And so I contacted Dr. James Besser, and on March 16, 2015, we did a program on nuclear vaporization of the World Trade Center buildings. And I had researched thousands of hours on that. And I'll debate absolutely anybody on the planet on it. But after we did that, I was contacted by Robert David Steele, and he said, I've got access to 2 members of the Trump cabinet. This is in 2018. He said, I want to write a memo to the president, but here's what the rules are. Trump will not read anything that's more than 800 words, so it can't be more than 2 pages long, and he won't look at anything that doesn't have a picture attached to it. So I went, okay, great. So I wrote my 800-word article, Twin Towers destroyed using clean nukes, and we sent it to Trump, and then Trump never did anything with it. But right after that, the next year, I was getting ready to do another interview with Coast to Coast AM, 600 radio stations, and I wrote an article called Unequivocal 911 Nukes, which did an even further analysis of the FEMA 402 articles that showed the complete construction of the Twin Towers and the World Trade Center 7. And so I published that at Veterans Today. I was contacted by one of my readers, and he said, you need to read the Palmer Report. So he forwarded the Palmer Report to me. This is a 5,000-word article written by 4 PhD physicists in Europe. and it had 45 PowerPoint slides and 3 90-minute videos explaining exactly what happened. I forwarded to the editor at Veterans Today, Gordon Duff. He said, these guys have independently proven everything we've written in 80 articles on nuclear education. This was in 2019. So they published it at Veterans Today called Breathtaking Solving Nuclear 911, the Palmer Report. I highly recommend it because they've got photos that will explain and graphics that explain absolutely everything to you. But they unfortunately didn't understand enough about nuclear isotopes. They also didn't understand building construction. So I wrote one additional article called Exposing the NIST, National Institute of Safety and of Standards and Technology. They're the ones that did the fake report.
Right.
Exposing a NIST Jenga game, Genga. That's that thing where you stack blocks up and pull them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, what drunks do at bars.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So anyhow.
Here's what I know too. I'm a dude with, public school education. Got my degree from Emory-Riddle Aeronautical University. I've flown on DC-9, C-9B passenger cargo aircraft for 20 years, over 9,000 flight hours. I've been through probably 30 bird strikes to where a bird would hit the windshield or hit the radome or hit the cockpit or hit a wing, and we would have to land because of the damage that it did to the fucking aluminum airplane. So when those planes, quote unquote, whatever the fuck they were, hit those buildings, and I know a missile definitely hit Pentagon. No plane, the structure dynamic of a plane at that speed cannot even maintain. They would have crashed before they got to the base of the Pentagon building, and no freaking pilot without a license can do that maneuver anyway, especially in a 757. But I know then that that no aluminum plane cut through that building like butter and collapsed those buildings and disintegrated like that, because planes just don't do that. Especially once you read and see the structure that those World Trade Center towers were constructed of, and they were built to sustain a plane hitting them and falling them and collapse. And you mentioned the top of the building, how it was listing 22 degrees, and once it began to fall, it blew upwards and then came down in 14 seconds in his own footprint. And yeah, if anyone watch anything on demolitions, they can tell that was a controlled demolition, especially Building 7 that actually collapsed live on air. It's ridiculous, man. It's unbelievable that people actually believe that bullshit. So yeah, we definitely have to do a show, man. We're gonna have to do a show. We're gonna have to upgrade your iPhone, man, so you can get on Rumble.
Or switch back to Zoom.
Yeah,
and what I'll have to do is send you some stuff that we can screen share, and you and I will have to do a little bit of coordination ahead of the program so that you've got the stuff lined up and we can talk about it in an orderly fashion.
Yeah.
love
We'll definitely do
talking
that.
with you, and love your experience and the different perspectives that we get by having each other, dialogue on this stuff.
Yeah, always, man. Always good to have you on. It's been a minute. I say we're gonna have Joe back on, but I'll say when you want to do it, man. Let's shoot for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, man. We're gonna do a 9/11 show. Because all this other bullshit we can talk about any other time. But if people still believe 9/11, man, believe that was not an inside job and not done by whoever the fuck blew them up, Mossad, Israelis, government, and all the other shit that went on with it that day. It's and Scott Defender over here in the chat, she said, he said 800 words or less in a picture. He said that's bullshit. Talking about Trump.
That's his level of attention span. There's no way he wrote Art of the Deal. Somebody ghost wrote that for him, because he's never read a book in his life, which is why we're in this situation. And I wish it wasn't true. I wish he was the person he projected himself to be, but there's just the overwhelming evidence is that he's not. And so at some point you have to say, look, the emperor's not wearing any clothes. It's not really pretty.
Yeah, and it's not, man. I mean, and I was one of those people, man. And people know, man, and I'm not ashamed to say it. That I was 100% Trump supporter. Wore the Trump hats. I was at all the Trump rallies. I appeared on stage with him at Mar-a-Lago when I was running for Congress. And I mean, I voted for him 3 times, man. And and I mean, but as I continue to on this journey and see this cycle or this presidency, and when you see all the people that he's surrounded himself with, the Palantir and the people that actually canceled us, like Zuckerberg and YouTube, all these people, man, that I had to sue Facebook, for being canceled. So you see all these people back at the table, and you look at all the people that he surrounded himself with, and you look at, how many times Benjamin Netanyahu has been in the fucking White House. I think it's 7 times, probably because he can't go anywhere else because he'll be arrested. The only place he can actually go is the White House, and how we serve Israel. I mean, just all of this shit, and you open your eyes and if they want to call it black pill, whatever the fuck you want to, color you want to give the pill, other than the blue and red pill, that was the classic. But just say, okay, now it's the black pill because everybody see everything for what it is. It's not a doomsday thing. It's just that people have actually fucking woken up totally, out of the matrix and you see the shit for what it really is, and you're like, well, damn, man, it's some fucked up shit, and like you say, you hadn't read a book, and when you say that, Carolyn said that that she heard his IQ is actually a 47 IQ and not a 161 or whatever the fuck he says,
Yeah.
but
I like you. I appreciated the phenomenon when he first came out. I went to the Trump MAGA rally in Houston in October of 2018. I went to the one in Dallas in November of 2019. Houston was at the Toyota Center, 18,000 people. Dallas was at the American Airlines Arena with 22,000. And then I went to, in 2022, one in Conroe where they had about 12,000 people. So I've stood among the people that are red-blooded Americans. It was nice to see the full spectrum of America coming out and supporting the thought of patriotic Americans. But unfortunately, this guy is not living up to his hype. And that's what we got to hold him to. And it's like, I'm sorry if the truth ends up hurting you and your family. That's on you. That's not on us. And we don't have to let you continue to hoodwink us. And if we get involved in a shooting war with Iran in the next 2 weeks, we're going to have an enormous number of casualties. We're going to make Pearl Harbor look like a joke. And the crazy thing is, 911 was preceded a year before in September of 2000 by the Project for the New American Century, PNAC. And the goal was that we have to overthrow 7 Middle Eastern countries in the next 5 years, but America won't do it unless we have a new Pearl Harbor. Well, guess what? They managed to station 2/3 of the NORAD fleet that was supposed to be protecting the Northeast Air Corridor on exercises in Montana and Alaska that day. I'm sorry, but you didn't do that with a bunch of cavemen over in Afghanistan.
Right.
This was 100% an inside job, and it was done by MI6, Mossad, and CIA. And it's unfortunate that you're going to have to come to grips with that. But, hopefully enough voices will understand it. And we're just working on getting the critical mass of perspective. And once people get the proper perspective, then you're going to be able to say, well, I'm sorry, your propaganda doesn't work on me anymore.
Absolutely. And one of the things, again, even the first time Trump ran on releasing the 9/11 files, finding out who really did 9/11, that bullshit. I mean, so I'm, and here it is, and out of all the people that he pardoned, all of these criminals that he has pardoned, right? Why not pardon Edward Snowden and Julian Assange, man, and let them tell the fucking truth, man? I pardon them. That's why I want pardoned. I want Eric Snowden and Julian Assange pardoned, along with Tina Peters. She's been pardoned, but I would fucking send SEAL Team 6 in to go get her because that's some bullshit. But anyway,
that's absolutely crazy,
with Tina Peters,
with all evidence of the vote rigging.
Yeah, she has all the evidence, man. I mean, the main person that has all the evidence, you're allowing her to be locked up in fucking prison in Colorado. Man, fuck that. But anyway, that's probably another show. But
and then a questionable pardon was Charles Kushner,
Gerald's
father. Yeah,
here
had 15 felony indictments. He pleaded it down to 3 indictments. Chris Christie was the attorney general that prosecuted him, and he was near a life sentence. And Trump pardons him, and then in his second term, he turns around and appoints an ambassador to France.
To France. That's what I say, man. All of these people that he has in these places that's surrounding him, and he has in these top positions. But one of the things here, because you mentioned Kushner, and you know, I know you was watching the show last week. I don't know if you were able to stick around or not. I don't think you were, but I mentioned that I'm the only one that has said this, that has said it, and fucking I haven't heard anyone else said. But Jared Kushner is in violation of the Logan Act.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is in violation, and nobody has said that but little old black ass me, who has even mentioned that, because he's in negotiations with a fucking nuclear power country with nuclear negotiations. He's not an official government employee, but why? But he's at the table. That's what they tried to use, like I said on my show last week, against General Flynn for making a phone call to his counterpart as he was transitioning in. But they used that. But Jared Kushner can sit at the table with the commander of fucking CENTCOM there and negotiate on behalf of the United States. In what fucking capacity?
And his Jewish buddy Witkoff, yeah. So it's like just this whole, kosher mafia that we've got running our government. That somehow we've got to figure out how to expose and eliminate that threat. But there's supposedly a group called AI PAC. It's AZ PAC, something like that.
Yeah, Asia. They call it Asia PAC or Asia PAC. They're supposed to be fighting APAC.
They're going to try to counter the PAC money. But you don't have to have that. All you got to do is just go on the FTC or FEC, the Federal Election Commission site, and do the donors and find out who's being funded by APAC and just say, I'm not voting for you for this one reason.
We wish. I wish Americans can be that stout. I wish Americans could understand that. But you have so many, it's just so many dumbasses, and I'm talking on both sides of the party that is gonna vote for just because they have the D or because they have the R, no matter what. I mean, some of these motherfuckers can be on the Epstein list and they'll still get voted for. Unfortunately, that's the truth of what's happening the way it is, because people don't vet their candidates and they don't care. I mean, you got people literally. Thomas Massie has been one of the biggest. He has Bob Good had it, but since Trump helped get rid of Bob Good, he has one of the highest grades. Conservative voting records. Thomas Massie has. But just because Trump say he's a bad guy, oh, well, Thomas Massie sucks. He won his last election by like 75 fucking points. I mean, really, why? Why are you, instead of looking and researching for yourself and looking at what this guy is standing for? Thomas Massie is the only one, maybe two, that's standing for shit.
Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene was swatted 12 different times.
Right.
I mean, how many times do you have to have the SWAT come over and bang on your front door with riot suits on and
before you know you're
and just one wrong move and you're dead.
Right.
I mean, that's a nightmare. And
totally.
Then she's got kids that she has to deal with.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of stuff. But let's not just do an extemporaneous show. When we get ready to do 911, we'll go through an outline and we'll just do everything in a meticulous basis, and we'll screen share some stuff.
All right, good, man. Let's do it, man. Let's plan on 2 weeks from now, man. 2 weeks from now, guys. Okay, so here it is, man. I'm put out now. 2 weeks from now, as long as something don't come up and happen, that's out of our control. That's out of our control. Joe has an iPhone 6, man. So anything may happen, right? No, I'm teasing.
Good on Zoom,
yeah.
So we can do Zoom.
You know what? Can I do? I'm trying to think. Can I do Zoom and share my screen?
We did it twice before. We did one on global warming, and then we did one on 9/11.
Yeah, but I had it on. I mean, I had. I think I can do it on Rumble. I had another service. Then I had StreamYard or whatever. But yeah, I think I probably can share I think we can do a Zoom, and I think I can share the screen during the show to the Zoom. Yeah, man, so we can do that. I think I can work that out, man. I'm getting pretty good with this production shit.
So I'm not trying to fill the papers inside the front seat of the car.
Okay, yeah, okay,
And,
cool,
yeah,
cool.
and I've got a hotel that I stay in that's really nice. We got a good breakfast.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we can do 2 hours. I can drink coffee while we're talking.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so
Perfect.
we'll
Yeah, man. I
have
can
some
do the
fun.
Zoom and share the screen. Yeah, man. So let's do it 2 weeks, man. 2
Hey,
weeks.
God
What's the
bless you,
date
brother.
on that? We'll figure out the date. 2 weeks, y'all. Whatever 2 weeks is, shit. The end of the month or whatever the case is, man. So, all right, hey, man. Thanks for coming in tonight, man. We really appreciate it. And
It was a good show. Thank you so
yeah,
much.
man. So we'll see you in 2 weeks, Joe.
All right, JD.
All
Bye.
right, bye. All right, there you go. That was Joe Olson. So 2 weeks, guys, we'll have a 9/11 show, and it's gonna be explosive. Joe is a bad motherfucker. I'm telling you, he was back at that. I meant to tell him. I remember that Art Bell show you were on, dude. So we're gonna do that, and so we're gonna have a 9/11 show with Joe Olson. Hold on, hold on. I'm gonna turn down this mic real quick. Hold on. Okay, I had to unplug the other mic so you wouldn't hear what I'm doing in the background. But yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We're gonna wrap it. We're gonna wrap the show, man. And there was this guy. I mean, if at the beginning of the show, I think he left. He's from Africa or some shit. I think it was a troll or some spam shit. But he said he was gonna come in and kill himself or some shit. He was on the show. Talking, I'm gonna kill myself. Well, bro, you may have came to the wrong show, bro. If you looking, I'm sorry, that's not funny. If you're in Africa, but you're trying to kill, well, whatever, But thank you guys for coming in. I see Sphinx new to the show. He may have been in before. We got Scout Defender 509 in the house tonight. My boy Jamie, I see you, Jamie, in the house. Pure Blood K9, and also definitely over on the YouTube channel. Of course, we got Susan and Carolyn, and we had some other folks in here, but they bounced. But of course, Joe. So thanks to Joe for coming in tonight. So we're gonna wrap up this show in so 2 weeks. I didn't even finish getting into the Bondi stuff, man. I like what Joe was talking about better. It was more interesting, But it's one thing, it's one thing I'm gonna leave you guys with that I did, because talking about Bongino, right? And you guys may not know this, but Cash Patel waved. He was talking. He came in and he said, well, all the FBI people are gonna take lie detector tests. Well, did you know that that Cash Patel waived the polygraph requirement for Dan Bongino? Did you guys know that? Did you guys know that? And FBI agents, especially senior officials with access to top secret and SCI information, are required to pass polygraph exams. They're asked about drug use, they're asked about criminal history, foreign contacts, and mishandling of classified information. So did you guys know that, well, I guess we don't know whether he didn't take the polygraph or he didn't pass the polygraph. We don't know which, because Cash Patel gave him a waiver. Now, isn't that amazing? Isn't that, some hypocrisy for your ass, right? So, more on that, and maybe I'll finish up on this next week, because we're going to do it. So we'll probably finish up on this cash shit and some other things next week, during the show. So we appreciate you. So let me see. We're going to go out on some Average White Band tonight, man. We're going to go out on some Pick Up the Pieces, because I just feel like it. So y'all have a safe week, a good week. And this has been the Radical Republicans Live Show. I hope you guys, like my new logo. So it's going to pop up here in a minute. But thank you guys. And see you guys next week. Have a safe week. Love you guys. Peace.